Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess. Today we are at the next topic and we are going to look at an attacking game based on the Pillsbury attack. We will see how Pillsbury creates an attacking position, and of course, as we are doing in every lecture, we are looking at some indicators of attack. Let us see what is the main indicator in today's game. As usual, there will be 2-3 indicators. D4, D5. Also, we are starting the series of D4 games where we will see how in D4 openings, especially Queen's Gambit or the Queen pawn, we will see how White develops an attack slowly. C4, E6, Knight C3, Knight F6, Bishop G5. The starting of normal orthodox Queen's Gambit, White intends to go Bf6 followed by CD5, D5 and D5 winning the pawn. Bf6, Gf6 would make the position worse. Black plays B7 removing the pawn and protects D5. White goes E3, black goes castle, Nf3, B6. Black sees that his bishop is blocked on the other diagonal, so he uses the square B7 to activate it. Normally this setup should be played with the move H6 first, H6, Bh4 and then that way. So the H7 pawn doesn't hang in some lines. White goes Bd3, Bb7, and as soon as bishop comes to B7, White takes CD5. This is a very standard idea in Queen's Gambit, because if Knight takes D5, then White wants E4, maybe B7, Queen E7, E4, Knight C3, BC, White's center would be strong. And if E takes D5, which is what was played in the game, then the bishop on B7's power is reduced. Of course, the bishop helps the knight to establish itself on the E4 square. White goes Nf3, good move. This was Pillsbury's idea, which is a very popular plan. The knight establishes itself on the E5 square, and if instant Nd7, White goes F4, protecting the E5 post strongly. So we see an outpost sort of situation White is trying to create. It's not an outpost because outpost is square on an open file supported by a pawn. It's not the open file, but the knight looks, or it acts like a strong square, but it's not a strong square also, because strong square is not attackable by a pawn. Here F6 is possible, but the post on E5 is a very strong one, because if Knight D7, Knight E5, then White often uses F4 and Fe gets the open file. Let's see how the game unfolds. At D7, White goes F4, and here it is said that after Knight takes E5, F takes E5, Knight E8, Black should have won for these trades, because the side with an inferior piece setting usually wants to trade pieces. That is one rule, and fundamentally if you see after B7, Queen E7, castle, White is about to prepare a flank attack, so Black gets to break with the move F6. So both ways it is very much sensible here on Black's part to go for this line. But there are some reservations we can understand. Queen is coming to H5, the Knight E8 is not well placed, so Black rejects this idea. The bishop on B7 is again not well placed, so at least it is slightly better for White here as well. Black plays C5, trying to break the center. Sooner or later he wants to do this. White just goes castle, and Black tries to play on the queen side here. The plan which he does now with C4 totally goes wrong, and White gets a free hand on the king side, and his attack after that is unstoppable. This plan which we are going to see, this Knight E5, D4, E3, F4 setup, this is called the Pillsbury bind. The knight on E5, see, along with the pawn on F4, is stopping these three black pieces from getting activated. Only the F6 knight can come to E4. Often bishop E4, D is done, and Black has the fear of having a bad bishop position in those kind of endgames over there. White has a very pleasant play and a Pillsbury bind, or some people call it the Pillsbury attack also. See how nicely after the center gets closed, White's pieces join the king side. So C4 mistake, bishop C2, Black goes A6. Idea is simple, play B5, B4 and then put the knight on E4. White should act quickly. White goes Queen F3. We know after completing development, we start transferring pieces to the king side. This is a typical build-up that white is doing. Standard play, b5 and queen h3. Right on time. Typical trap like the Slav defense, if you know what white sets here. I had done a position, I think a week back, where we had a very similar Slav defense position. There also we saw there was a pawn on e6. White played knight d5 to get this kind of idea. Where after knight d7 here is the threat. Because if knight takes, then qh7 mates, and after qd7 there are two ways to exploit. One, bishop f5 first forcing the queen away, then bf6 followed by qh7 mate. Or the more forced, instant bh7 check, knight cannot take because queen falls, king h8, then bishop f5 check and the queen is lost. So facing this situation, black has only three choices here. One is the very nice looking c knight e5. But after d5, knight e4, we see that after b takes e4, d takes e4, rook d1, we can easily make out black is suffering. Queen e8 forced and b7, queen e7 or d7, and the bishop on b7 is lost. Another problem is h6. This is very typical. We have been discussing about h6 in so many cases. So bh6, gh, queen h6. Here also after knight e4, there is no way. There is the very simple rook f3. See, the threat is rook g3. Knight takes g3 and qh7 mates. And if anything else like knight df6, then just rook h3. It's game over. No defense on the h8 square. So now black goes g6. Nothing much is there. And white breaks f5. We can see that white's attack is about to crash through. Some small calculations he has to make. There are some lines, very interesting ones. Black goes b4, trying to discourage white, but white has already seen a lot of things here happening in the position. We can make out that white is not interested in moving the knight. There is just the simple see f takes g6, b takes c3 is not even possible. There are multiple things that white can do. He can go with rook f6, nf6, bf6 when there are mating threats. He can go with, we can see this line, bc for instance, bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, rook takes f6, f takes g6, but still white finishes the game smoothly with bishop g6. Game over. hg allows rook g6 mate. Otherwise, there is direct queen h7 mate. There is nothing over here. The move rook f6 also loses to queen h7, king f8, queen h8, checkmates. fg6 of course loses instantly to queen e6 check. When after king h8 we can just take knight takes d7. The bishop on e7 hangs. So h takes g6 forced, and now we know amongst many indicators of attack already we saw the knight outpost on e5. We are seeing the open files, and we are also seeing the assault ratio in white's favor. Everything is in white's favor. No doubt white has a combination here. So white to play and win. He plays the simple and very strong qh4. See, right now everyone wants bg6, ng6, bf6, but the time is not ripe yet. He just goes qh4. Very simple and effective. The main threat is knight takes d7, after which it's totally game over. Now b takes c3 is what black played, and we will see, and d7 took place nevertheless, because after knight e5, de also, this knight is unable to move, e7 hangs, so the position is actually lost. B takes c3, knight takes d7, queen takes d7 forced, and now the strong move, rook f6. Very dangerous. Bishop f6 allows bf6, forced mate on h8. The rook on f6 is again, it's like an outpost over there. It helps the other rook come to f1. Instant bg6, fg, rook g6 is not a threat. Black goes a6 in order to protect the g6 point or attack the f6 rook, we will see. Rook a, f1, and now the threat is bishop takes g6, f takes g6, rook g6 mate. Black goes rook a6, trying to protect G6. And now white makes a forced combination. It is mating 5 in some lines and in the main line it is mating 7. We can see the attackers are more than the defenders. So comes bishop takes G6. This bishop and the queen are capable of creating lot of damage. We saw in earlier quick queen section also, we saw how the queen used the zigzag checking maneuver. Same happens here. F takes G6, rook F8, bishop F8, and the unexpected another rook sacrifice, rook F8, K F8, Q H8 check. Usually this is bit unexpected. White sacrifices both his rooks. Just the queen and bishop are left, but he forces a mate. King F7 forced, Queen H7 check, K E6 allows QG6 mate, King E8 leads to QG8 mate. So King F8 forced, and after QD7 we see that it's not gain of material but another forced mating to moves after BH6, King G8, QG7 mate. Black chose to resign after Rook F8. I think we saw a great game and a great combination which was an icing on the cake. I hope you are also enjoying these lessons. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.